Welcome in, everybody. Thank you, Stronny and the Reeflings, for the raid. Welcome, welcome, class. Can you hear me okay before we begin? I can't tell if this is a in-person class or if this is a Zoom class. But let me know if you can hear me. Hello, welcome in, welcome in. Get yourself settled. Choose your seats. You know, everybody who's going to be sat next to who. Any pretty ladies who's everyone's going to be fighting. Just sit beside the pretty ladies. You can hear me. All right, fantastic news. How was your last class, my darlings? How was your last class? Can you sit next to me? Well, too bad. I'm standing up here in the front of the class. So regretfully, unless you want to come and stand next to me, which is going to be a bit weird, then maybe find yourself a seat. Did you have fun with Strani though? Did you have a good time? Didn't realize the history of Easter eggs has so much history behind it. Exactly, exactly. Honestly, very informative. Well, I know you've got a packed day of classes today, but all I ask is 30 minutes of your time, and then I will send you off to your next class. No rest for the wicked, but your little brains are going to be so full and bursting by the end of this. Thank you, Chaos, for that super. I appreciate it.
Red apple emoji.
Red apple emoji. Is that you throwing it at me? That's terribly rude. Welcome, everybody, to MaraVespidae's Biology 101. Haha, did you see what I did there? We will be learning about the bees today. Shocking. I know, I know. You never would have guessed that a bee-themed maid would be doing a presentation on bees. Wow. Groundbreaking. She showed us the Resident Evil 4. Ah, the fish, yes. That's my least favorite one. Sorry, Stronny. Alright, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time teaching you about bees today. Are you buzzing to learn about the bees, my darlings? Are you buzzing to learn about the bees? Well, you'd better be, because... No, don't get your phone out. Don't get your phone out. I don't want to see you playing Angry Birds at the back of my class. I want you to be paying attention, okay? Eyes up here. Eyes up here. I know all your teachers probably say this to you, but there will be a quiz at the end. Alright, so I promise this is going to be a bit more exciting than it sounds. So put that phone away, unless of course you're watching this on your phone, in which case keep your phone out. And for the next 30 minutes, I am going to be showing you a few fun facts about my favorite insect, the bee. Yes, there will be a lot of puns in this, so sorry about that. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry about my puns. There's going to be a lot of fucking puns, so sorry, it's unprofessional of me to be swearing, isn't it? Don't report me to the teacher's board. Alright, now, I'm sure you've heard about people say how important bees are for the survival of the human race and for the planet. Restroom break! There's a potty in the corner. Unprepared. God damn it. But it's true. Bees are incredibly important. I hope you enjoy my slides, by the way. They're deeply professional. Bees are very important to the world, to human survival. Exactly, bee emojis, bee emojis. And I'm not just saying that because I'm part bee and I'm biased, you know. They genuinely are extremely important. So the reason for that, just some basics that we'll cover in case you are new to the planet and you've never seen a bee before. Bees go around and they pollinate all of the flowers, and that means that if it's a fruit tree or a vegetable plant, that it can then grow said fruit or vegetable, and that is essential for harvesting, for production of food, basically. You literally cannot have fruit and veg and crops and things like that without bees to come by and pollinate. So they are so essential that, in fact, I don't know if this was a universal thing or if this was just in the UK, but a little while ago, bees in the UK were not going extinct, but the population was dropping. Fun fact, a young bee is called a beelet. Are you stealing my flow with the bees? Is this true? But the population of the bees was dropping so badly that at least the UK government, I know that as much, was launching a program to try and get the bees back up in their population. They needed those bees to be reproduced. And they needed everybody to be as friendly to the bees as possible. So there was a big push for lots and lots of, plants that are friendly to the bees and not squashing the bees. Don't squash the bees. And I think it's working. It's been in effect for a few years, and I think that we are now a much more bee-friendly society, I think. So, whether you like bees or whether they send you running away in a panic, bees are way more fascinating and a little freakier than you might think. So let's dive into some weird, wild, and slightly disturbing, in places, facts about bees. No, don't worry, nothing too scary, although, well, we'll see. Hashtag be friendly, exactly. Now, our first fact. Are we going to talk about bee puke? No, should we be? I might talk about bee peanuts there. In a minute. Anyway, spoilers. So, first of all, first fact, right? Bees can recognize your face. It is true. Bees, they recognize you, okay? So they don't just fly into your, Coke can and ruin your picnic for fun. They know you. Personally. Oh, hey, it's Karen from accounting. Let's go ruin her day. She spotted me last time. It is true. We cannot be serious. We are being serious, don't worry. But they use a facial recognition technique that's not too different from the ones that humans use and the ones that your phones use as well. Hence my little bee phone over here. My little bee phone. So a bee can actually remember you for up to 2 whole days, right? They can remember you for 2 days. After that, you're safe. So next time you're spotting a bee, just remember they will remember that. Your actions, they will have consequences. Also count how many bee movie screenshots I've put in this PowerPoint. So studies actually show that bees can be trained to pick out a specific face from a crowd and remember it for those 2 days, which demonstrates a ability to distinguish between individual faces, which is crazy, right? Crazy. So if you're nice to a bee, then they have more chance of coming back over to you. And if you are mean to a bee, which I know you would never be mean to a bee in my house. Just remember that if you're going to encounter that bee again within the next 2 days, they may be coming for you in a slightly less friendly way. Alright, oh, I've skipped through a bit too much. Oopsies, come on. Right, second fact, okay. This is the one that may be a little bit more icky for you. I'm sorry, we'll pass through fairly swiftly. I hope you enjoy my diagram. Let me move over a little bit so I'm not blocking the text. So, let's talk about male bees for a minute here. Male bees. It's okay. Keep your hats on. So male bees, they are called drones. So the females are the worker bees and the male bees, they are the drones. So drones, they don't actually collect honey or defend the hive. Their only job is to mate with the queen. That is their only job. Sounds pretty great, doesn't it? Sounds pretty nice. The ultimate kind of bachelor lifestyle, existing only to get laid. Wrong. Wrong. After mating, the drone's entire junk explodes. It falls off. It explodes. It's gone. That's it. It's gone. Okay. And unfortunately, that's it. They're dead at that point. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The endophallus, which is basically bee junk, it gets ripped out and they die instantly. So getting freaky with the queen bee is sadly a one-time thing, but I think going out with a bang, are there worse ways to go? I don't know. But if this whole thing makes you feel a little bit tingly in all of the wrong ways, don't worry, don't worry. This is all essential to the survival of the hive colony. It's worth it. Fantastic. I'm glad you think so, because lots of baby bees are needed to keep things moving in the hive. So, drones of the hive, 07, 07, your sacrifice, it will be remembered. It will be remembered. 07. Good job, male bees. We salute you. Essential. Your sexual relations are necessary. Also, did you like my diagram of the two bees in the middle here? By the way, I've worked very hard on it. Anyways. On a similar note, number 3. And don't worry, we're going to move away from exploding nuts now. Did you know that the queen bee actually chooses the gender of the baby bees? Yes, that is true as well. Everything I'm telling you today is true, by the way. I don't need to keep saying it. So after, you know, doing the do, the queen bee then chooses whether to fertilize the eggs in the brood or not. So those fertilized eggs, they become female worker bees, and the unfertilized eggs, they go on to become the male drone bees. So the queen kind of goes around and... Actually, I don't know if it's random or not. That will be in our advanced AP biology for advanced bee facts. But I don't really know what the selection process is, frankly. But there we go, just so you know. Also, any fertilized egg can become a queen. So it's not something you're born with. It's a lifestyle created specifically for those little baby bees. So a fertilized egg is selected, placed into a special cell, and then fed on the most delicious royal jelly, which is like a creamy substance. Let's not think about where that comes from. Which then helps the larva grow into a mature queen. MILF bees in your area? It's more likely than you think. Now, this next one, I'm not gonna lie, is one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. So, you've heard of assistance dogs, but have you ever heard of an assistance bee? Perhaps not. Perhaps not. Well, soon you might, because did you know that bees can actually be trained like dogs can? Now, I don't mean like you can... I don't mean like, you know, getting them to sit or to heel or to lie down. Not quite that advanced. They're not exactly going to do like a trick for you. But bees do actually have impressive cognitive abilities that are often underestimated. So, you know, don't underestimate us bees. We are smarter than we may seem. We're not just all cute buzzing around, you know. We're not just all cute and buzzing around. Yes, bees are very intelligent. Exactly. Did they play football with cotton balls? Yes, you have to get something extremely small for them to be playing football. So their brains are actually very able to do kind of like complex learning. So studies, there have been loads of bee studies actually, and no, there haven't been any studies on whether or not you can get bees to form like a coordinated attack. I don't think that that has quite been formulated yet. But maybe, you never know, maybe that'll be something that we go on to do. Training bees to attack. Maybe, we'll see. But anyways, these cognitive abilities mean that bees are actually often trained for various practical applications. So they can maybe even, in the future, be a nice alternative to a sniffer dog. Something a little bit more subtle, perhaps. Maybe if you're in an airport and you see a bee coming towards you and you have something you shouldn't have on your person, maybe it's a bit sneakier than having like a dog run up to you and you're like, oh fuck, like, gotta run. If a bee flies by, you're not gonna think anything of it, right? So maybe they're on espionage. Espionage. Anyways, so because bees love a sugary treat, it's actually not too difficult to train them to do things in return for a little bit of sugar water. Apparently we are very easily bribed. I don't know anything about that though. But amongst other things, bees have been trained to detect illegal substances, if you catch my drift, diseases, like actually COVID. Bees can smell COVID, which is crazy. Do you like I photoshopped a nose onto a bee. Does he look good? It's a massive nose, by the way. That's him smelling the narc bee. Exactly. Narcotics bee. Special units reporting in. And okay, they can also navigate mazes as well. They have been released into mazes and they have run around, which is pretty cool, and found their way through the maze. And this last one is my favorite one, as you can tell by the amount of sheer effort I've put into dressing these bees up. Bees can even play football. Yes, playing a bit of footy. Oh, true Englishman. So they have actually pushed tiny balls into tiny goals. Oh, so cute. Little bumblebee football players. Ah, it's adorable. Maybe one day they will play for Manchester United, Chelsea, Brighton and Hove Albion. Okay, that's enough English football team jokes. For anyone who's not English, those are English football teams. So, next time you see a bee buzzing around near your lunchbox, maybe it's not your sandwich after all. Maybe it's after a couple of other suspicious items. It could be a tiny undercover agent sniffing out danger. Target acquired. It's a ham sandwich with suspicious lettuce. Over. And then he flies away. Okay, so next. I know, aren't you learning so much right now? Is your brain expanding? I'm sure it is. Thank you, appreciate my puns. Thank you, I worked so hard on them. I thought about them for all of 2 minutes. So, our next fact. So bees actually do buzz at specific frequencies to knock the pollen loose from flowers. So bees don't just buzz for fun or to fly around. Some of them do what's called buzz pollination. So this is where they vibrate at a specific frequency to shake that pollen loose from the flower. And depending on the type of flower, depends on the frequency that they use. Smart, right? It's smart. They're very smart. See? The cognitive ability of the bees. You're going to be so impressed. So bumblebees actually use their flight muscles to produce vibrations that are strong enough to shake pollen out of the flowers. So tomatoes, blueberries, and also aubergines, known as eggplants, and outside of the UK. Those are particularly difficult to pollinate plants, right? They've got tough little flowers and they really need a good buzz, a good vibration. They only open for good vibes, is what I'm getting at here. Good vibrations. So the bees fly up, looking all cute. They land, and then they are vibrating themselves super hard to a certain frequency to open up those precious flowers. So this process is critical for plants that hold their pollen in like really firmly and protect it and can't release it too easily. So that means that even the plants that are getting playing hard to get, they still get some action too. So don't worry, nobody's left out. And that means that we can have some of the most delicious plants because bees have evolved very smart to work out which frequencies are best to work with the different plants. Exactly, nobody's left hanging. Precisely. And it means everybody's pollinated and nobody is left out. And yeah, I guess, is that bee riz? It's not really bee riz, is it? Just like kind of customizing the vibration to the type of flower. I don't know. Anyways. Alright. Now, this last fact is one of my favorites. It is one of my favorites. So that's why I've kind of saved it for last. So some of you will have heard me mention this before. This has come up on stream a couple of times before. But bees actually communicate through the medium of dance. You like jazz? Exactly. Exactly. I literally couldn't do this PowerPoint without including yeah, like jazz. Otherwise, what sort of VTuber would I be in that case? So, bees communicate through dancing. Yes, it is true. So, jazz hands or a little wiggle of the hips. That can speak 1,000 words if you're a bee. It's actually called a waggle dance, which is extremely cute. That is so freaking stinking cute. And this is how they tell all of their little bee buddies where the good flowers are. They literally say, all right, girls, take a left at the big tree, buzz straight for 300 meters, and boom, there will be a big field of daisies, a daisy buffet. And there we go. That's their communication. Probably their little, yes, the butt twerks. Yes, it's probably a bit more refined than what I've just done. I've probably just like sworn horribly at them in bee language with my little wiggles. So I apologize to all the bees I'm offending right now. But the angle and the duration of the dance tell the direction and the distance from the hive. So basically like a little bee GPS system. So next time you see a bee, make sure you bust out a move, okay? You might make some friends, or you might horribly insult the bees. So maybe wiggle your little booty with caution around some bees. Now, I do also have a couple of bonus facts that didn't make it to the slides, but I did want to give them like an honorable mention as well. So, of course, we do love the humble bumblebee. Sweet little bumblebee, ba, 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 ba. Over here in this house. But not all bees produce honey, and not all bees actually live in hives as well. So there are actually over 20,000 species of bees. Exactly. You should twerk. You should throw it back for the bees. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Yes, there are also some underground bees. There are like solitary bees as well, where it's just like one bee that lives by themselves, just like a little bee just chilling by himself. So examples of that are the mason bee and the leafcutter bee, and they just kind of live by themselves, just like out in the wilderness. I know, it's a lot of bees, right? It's a lot of bees. And yet here we are, the cutest bee of them all. bumblebee is just the most common in a lot of the Western worlds, which is why we end up talking about the bumblebee so often, just as kind of our go-to. But yes, there's actually 20,000 bee types, bee species, bee species. No, that was bad. That one's not sticking. That one's not sticking. And bees are also actually very polite as well. So, although for humans we might have a room in our house specifically dedicated for going to the potty, bees actually do not poop inside the hive. Nope. You won't go into a beehive and find like bee bathrooms. Nuh-uh-uh. You will not. Because bees actually do what's called a cleansing flight. Where basically they hold it in, okay? They hold it in. They hold it. Don't shit where you sleep, exactly. Exactly. Thank you, class. Excellent inputs from the class today. I'm very impressed with you all. Bees actually hold it. Okay, so think about that next time you are just like sat there and you're like, wow, I can't hold this one. Just think of the bees, okay? But when the weather is good enough, they then fly out and they basically just go on like a big poop flight. It's called a cleansing flight. Although I assume that these are all just names that the humans gave the bees and not, you know, like no one's ever interviewed a bee and actually asked them what's been happening. So to be honest, how many times have we been pooped on by bees and we didn't even know it? Holy shit. Oh my god. So, to summarize, we're going to do a little extra memes for you here. So, let's do a little roundup, shall we? How long can they hold it in? I don't know the answer to that either. We will have to cover that in AP Biology. I mean, you've heard about like flies landing on things and pooping, but never about bees. So there you go, you've learned so much today. Anyway, so in summary, so bees can remember your face, dance to give us directions, and explode after naughty times. So we've learned a lot about bees, and I think the overall summary, the overall statement is that bees are pretty freaking cool. Am I right? Am I right? Thank you for listening. You've all been a pleasure to teach. Next parents' evening, honestly, I'm happy to give such good feedback to all of your parents about what good students you've all been. You've all been fantastic listeners. In fact, you've all been such good listeners that I don't think we have any need for that end of lesson quiz. So I'll let you out of your pop quiz on this particular occasion. Now, normally I would give you an A+, but I think it would only be appropriate if I give you a B. But don't worry, that's actually the highest mark you can get in this class. So don't you worry. Just because you think, oh damn, I'm getting a B, don't worry. That's top marks for this class. We're a little bit different up here in this class here. We like to be a bit different. So, next time you see a bee buzzing around your lemonade, don't swat it, okay? Don't swat it. Don't swat it, alright? Put that away. Put that away. Show some respect, you know? It might be a famous bee football player or a secret agent, potentially. Or it might just really be after your ice cream. Who knows? Anyways, my darlings, thank you so much for coming to my class. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope your brain isn't buzzing with too much knowledge. You're going to be so big brain after today. What are you going to do with all that knowledge? You're going to go on like a knowledge journey. Anyways, I believe I'm going to send you off to see Sheeby right about now, where she is going to be teaching you about something completely different. A wide range of knowledge for your brains today. Alright, my darlings, go on out there and be amazing. Ha! One more pun for the road. Alright, see you next time, my darlings. Bye bye!